Have you ever wondered how everything seems connected and interrelated?
Welcome to Beyond the Horizon, a podcast that explores the interplay of meteorology and astronomy. My name is Christine.
And I'm Sheila. We're here to take you on this journey through weather, space, and everything in between.
In this episode, we're going to dive deep into how Earth, land, ocean, and atmosphere work together to sustain life. We'll also explore the cycles that keep everything in balance.
That's right, Christine. Let's call this the web of life connecting all things. Think of Earth as a massive, complex machine where all parts interact seamlessly. Let's start with the basics. Earth has three major systems: the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and geosphere. These systems constantly interact with each other.
Exactly, and create weather patterns. Imagine it as Earth's thermal blanket. It wraps around the planet na nagtatrap ng right amount of heat from the sun para mag-create ng isang comfortable range for life. Without this so-called blanket, Earth would either freeze or burn. Beside this, it sets off weather patterns such as rainfall na napaka-importante sa agriculture. Think of the atmosphere as the invisible machine that decides where crops grow and how much rain we get. Life on Earth could never exist without a stable atmosphere.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but atmosphere is the reason why planet Earth is the only planet that can sustain life, right?
Absolutely. The moon and the other planets have little to no atmosphere, or their atmosphere are too extreme to support life, like the Venus. But who knows? Maybe in the future, we'll discover life out there.
Tama. But back to the Earth, we also have the system of hydrosphere, which includes all the water on Earth. Pictures of oceans, lakes, river, and even underground water system as veins that circulate life-giving water around the planet. They're like Earth's circulatory system. You probably heard that the oceans cover about 70% of Earth's surface, yet we know more about the surface of the moon than are deep in our ocean.
Ang crazy, 'di ba? Pero ito yung even more surprising. Yung ibang tao, iniisip nila that the deep ocean is so isolated that human activities doesn't affect it. Pero sinasabi ng research, a study published in Geochemical Perspective Letters found microplastics, which are the tiny particles of plastic pollution, have been discovered in some of the deepest parts of the ocean, including the Mariana Trench. These particles travel through ocean currents and sink to the bottom na nakakaapekto sa deep sea ecosystem. So, human pollution reaches the most remote areas of the ocean, showing that no part of hydrosphere is truly isolated from our actions.
Wow, nakakabukas naman ng kaisipan niyang Christine. Pero, oceans are also crucial in other way para silang air conditioner ng Earth. They act as a giant heat absorber, preventing our planet from overheating. A study by University of Southampton found that changes in ocean current can affect our weather. For example, disruption in Atlantic meridional overtuning circulation. Fancy name, right? I know, it can lead to extreme weather like hurricanes.
Speaking of extreme weather, we've seen this firsthand with Hurricane Milton, the fastest on record to intensify into Category 5, considering one of the strongest hurricanes ever recorded. It's a clear example of how the atmosphere and hydrosphere interact, creating devastating weather patterns.
I wonder, what about for Philippines? Does sea current also have its impact?
Oh, for the Philippines, being an archipelago surrounded by water, this connection is even more important. A study by the University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute found that Philippine sea currents play a major role in our local climate since it affects typhoon formation and monsoon seasons, which is why we experience around 20 tropical cyclones every year.
Kaya pala nakaka-experience tayo ng napakadaming storm sa Pilipinas.
At laging walang pasok. And oceans aren't just about waves, They're part of the water cycle. This hydrologic cycle moves water through evaporation, where it rises from oceans and lakes into the atmosphere, forming clouds, and then return as snow or rain. This continuous cycle is what replenishes fresh water from drinking, farming, and ecosystems. Think of it as nature's recycling program, constantly purifying and distributing water to where it's needed most. Can you imagine that the water we're drinking today could be the same water that dinosaurs drank millions of years ago? That's the beauty of water cycle. It's nature's ultimate recycling system.
That's very cool. And speaking of cycle, we got more than just water going on. Have you ever heard the carbon cycle?
Not yet, kind of.
So, the carbon cycle works like this. Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during photosynthesis, using it to grow. When animals eat these plants, carbon is passed through the food chain, and when animals exhale or decompose, the carbon is returned to the atmosphere or soil. It's like the air we breathe is constantly being recycled between plants, animals, and Earth itself.
Fun fact, according to an article by National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, human activities have speed up the carbon cycle, making it faster than the nature intended. Ito yung dahilan kung bakit meron tayong global warming na nangyayari sa napakabilis na rate.
But hey, here's something cool. Did you know that tiny ocean plants called phytoplankton are doing some major heavy lifting in their fight against climate change?
Seriously? Tiny plants?
Yep. A 2023 study from Reuters in Marine Science shows that phytoplankton absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis. When they die, they sink to the ocean floor, locking the carbon away. Nature is pro at carbon capture.
Ang cool naman gird ng phytoplankton. Para silang mga tiny, invisible superheroes na nagsisave ng carbon molecule one at a time.
Parang ganun na nga, pero wag din natin kakalimutan na meron tayong rock cycle. This one's slower and more chill, but still super important. Rock cycle is literally just a process in which rocks change in one form into another through weathering, erosion, and sedimentation. It also produces soil, the soil upon which plants and agriculture rely.
And here's a fascinating connection. Yung rock cycle and carbon cycle are actually linked. Some of the carbon in the atmosphere gets absorbed by the ocean where it forms limestone over millions of years. It's a slow process pero nakakatulong siya sa carbon levels in the long run.
Speaking of the slow but powerful effect of the rock cycle, consider the Grand Canyon. It was carved by the erosion over millions of years, showing just how much impact this cycle can have on Earth's landscape.
Pero hindi lahat ng rock cycle is very, very slow. For an example, yung volcanic eruptions, nakaka-create siya ng new rock in a matter of days or weeks. Landslide then can drastically reshape landscapes in minutes. According sa study ng Nature Geoscience, changes in Earth's surface such as erosion from human activities like deforestation are accelerating some processes ng rock cycle. So, partly, dinidebunk natin yung myth na nagsasabi na ang rock cycle is sobrang tagal na hindi siya nakaka-apekto sa Earth's surface during human lifetime.
Hence, all these cycles and the balance we talk about are sure sustaining life on our planet, right?
Sure it is, we've explored the water cycle, carbon, and rock cycle individually, but the truth is, lahat sila is interconnected. For example, yung water cycle, na dinadrive niya yung weather patterns natin. Nakaka-influence siya sa pag-grow ng plants, and those plants are key part of carbon cycle. Meanwhile, yung rock cycle naman, siya yung nakaka-create ng soil, kaya nasusupport pa rin yung plant life. Kaya masasabi natin na lahat ng cycles na ito is in a way linked with each other.
Exactly. The health of this cycle is directly tied to human life. Pero isipin mo, nagre-rely tayo sa fresh water from water cycle para may inumin tayo, may gamitin sa palayan, and sa industry. The carbon cycle regulates Earth's temperature, and disruption to it are why we're seeing more extreme weather and rising sea levels. And without the rock cycle producing fertile soil, agriculture wouldn't be possible, which would affect our food supply.
Tama. Kaya sasabihin natin na each cycle is merong sustainable role para sa mundo natin. Pero ito yung malungkot na katotohanan. Human activities are messing with these cycles. We're adding too much carbon to the atmosphere by burning fossil fuels, cutting trees, and polluting. It's throwing everything out of balance. For example, yung pag-burn ng fossil fuels, nakaka-release yun ng maraming carbon dioxide na na-accumulate sa ating atmosphere, increasing average temperature through the greenhouse effect. As well as pagdi-dissolve ng mga yun sa ocean kaya nagkakaroon ng ocean acidification.
Talagang nakakalungkot at nakakabahala, Christine, but it's not about the bad news. Scientists are working on solutions like carbon capture technology, which aim to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. If we all work together, we can still make a difference, right?
Tama, parang yung nangyari noong 1987 where science and political willpower joined forces remarking the battle to save the ozone layer na tinatawag na natin ngayong Montreal Protocol. So, ang nangyari dito, yung mga scientists, winarningan nila yung mga governments about the effect of chlorofluorocarbon, parang ang fancy, pero ito yung CFC kung tawagin, na meron sa mga aerosols, refrigerators, at air conditioner na nakaka-harm at nakakabutas sa ating ozone layer. So, na-confirm nila na meron ngang hole over Antarctica. Hence, every country in the world agreed to phase out these ozone-depleting substances which resulted to the replenished protective layer above Earth. As Megski, the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Environment Programme's Ozone Secretariat, said, in the face of triple planetary crisis, climate, nature, and pollution, the Montreal Protocol is one of the best examples we have that shows that positive and powerful outcome of multilateralism.
It's very fulfilling and hopeful story indeed. I'm glad that scientists are not just the only solely environmental advocates are there because many groups and organizations also encourage people to take an action now. Speaking of acting, there is a giant clock art piece in New York City called The Climate Clock. Last time I checked, it's 4 years and 360 days left until the timer hits zero. And it only means one thing,
Yup.
that climate change would become irreversible, reminding everyone to take an action now. So whether it's driving less, using less plastic, or planting more trees, we can help restore the balance of Earth's cycles.
As we've explored today, Earth systems, its land, oceans, and atmosphere, are intricately connected, working together to sustain life. But our actions have a direct impact on these natural processes, whether it's reducing our carbon footprint or supporting efforts to protect the planet. We each have a role to play in keeping Earth in balance.
Pero palagi nating tatandaan na science isn't just something we learn, it's something we live. Every small step we take today contributes to the health of our planet for future generations.
And with that, we're wrapping up today's episode, The Web of Life Connecting All Things. Remember, Earth systems are always working together to keep life going. So let's do our part to keep them in check. Oh, before we go, did you know that the tallest mountain in the solar system isn't on Earth?
Talaga?
It's actually on Mars, and it's called Olympus Mons. In our next episode, we'll explore more about Mars, other planets, space exploration, and some of the most fascinating planetary features out there. Trust us, you won't want to miss it.
That sure sounds amazing. So make us to follow us on Spotify and thanks for tuning in. Let's stay connected as we explore more amazing science in the next episode. Don't forget that it's okay to get a little lost in the wonder.
See you next time and
Keep your eyes on the sky.